Hi, my name is Danielle Mortensen, and this is the Blue Zone Concept. So why this project? Well, for starters, I wasn't eating any breakfast. I wake up at around 2 a.m. That's early. I didn't feel like taking an extra 10 to 15 minutes out of my day and my sleep to make myself breakfast. I also wasn't drinking enough water. I was drinking about 20 ounces a day, which, as you'll soon find out, is not nearly enough. And on top of that, I was relying on caffeine to get me through most days, which is not beneficial for my health. So, what did I learn? Well, for starters, eggs are fantastic for you. They are full of protein and nutrients. They also decrease inflammation and heart diseases. Lucky for me, we have 23 chickens, so eggs were always at the tips of my fingers and easily accessible. So, what about water? Well, as I found out, you're supposed to be drinking half your weight in ounces of water each day, even more than that if you exercise. I regularly exercise about 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. This meant that I wasn't drinking half of the water I should be. I put myself at about 80 ounces of water a day, minimum, of what I should be drinking, which 20 ounces was not cutting it. Now, water can be scary. As my research found, water can be contaminated with pollution, especially in large urban waterways. This can cause your life expectancy to drop. This is something nobody wants. So what does water do for you? Water causes you to be less likely to have headaches and be less dizzy. Nobody wants to have their head spinning. It also helps you have healthier skin, weight loss, and be in a happier mood because overall you'll just feel better. So how did I go from drinking 20 ounces to 80 or more in a one day? Well, for starters, my favorite tip is to buy a water bottle with a straw. I know. Why would you spend money on a water bottle with a straw? For me, I found out that I drink a lot more water this way. I don't have ice hitting my teeth, and it's just easily accessible to me while working. A couple other things I tried personally was to add flavors to my water. I didn't quite like this, as the flavoring just didn't sit right with me, and it wasn't going down as smoothly as I hoped. Another thing I tried was to expand what my definition of water was. As you can see in the picture, cucumbers are vital for expanding your definition of what water is. They are full of water even though you might not think it. Now, I also added flavors to the water, such as fruit. The blueberries weren't really all that beneficial because they started floating, so I didn't really get any while I was drinking it. But the strawberries, cucumbers, raspberries, and also lemon were great additions to my water. A couple other things you could try is to add a glass of water a week. So instead of going from 20 to 80 ounces, which is a big jump, you can just add 8 ounces each day. It's little and it seems much more manageable. You could also use a water log. This helps keep you accountable for what water you're drinking. So for my project, as I said before, I wanted to drink at least 80 ounces of water a day. And for my breakfast, I wanted to eat 3 eggs. Of course, I wanted to add variation to all my food and water to change up so it wasn't just the same. I also was going to measure how tired I felt each day now that I was cutting out caffeine, the amount of water I drank, and then what I had eaten. Hence the charts. Each day I tracked and I kept count of how I felt, how much water I drank, and what I ate. As you can see, there are tons of variations possible with just a few simple ingredients. For my food, my favorite variation was simple: salt, pepper, and oregano. It tasted the best and was easy to put together. For my water, my favorite was just plain. It was simple, I didn't have to worry about adding anything, and it honestly was when I drank the most water. For my mood, as the Weeks passed, I stopped feeling less tired now that I stopped relying on caffeine, and towards the end of it, I actually started feeling more awake than I ever had. So for the results. As time went on, I started getting less tired throughout the day. This meant that I didn't need to rely on caffeine, which also saved me money. I also lost weight. The first week I lost 2 pounds, and in the next week I lost another pound. For just 2 weeks, which is not a long time to test something, I feel like that's pretty noticeable. My eye bags were also less likely to be seen. They were disappearing, and I couldn't be more happier. I was also hydrated, which is something you should always be, especially in the hot of the summer. For the reflection, there were a couple things that went well and a couple of things that didn't go well. For starters, I stayed on track. I always had my food and I always drank my water. It also worked. I lost weight and I learned new things that I like to add to my eggs. It was also easier than I expected, especially the prep. All I did was throw a couple eggs in a mason jar and add my seasonings. I did 5 mason jars at a time, so it was manageable and none of the eggs went bad. Now, some of the things that didn't go well was some of my variations I didn't like, such as the flavored water and the scrambled eggs. They just didn't sit right with me or weren't what I was expecting. But that's what trying things is for, to find the ways you like and don't like things. Now, another thing I'm guilty of is chugging water at the end of the day, which is not good for you. I would forget sometimes and not drink enough water, which led to me drinking probably, at most, I would say 20 ounces at the end of a day, just so I could meet my 80-ounce goal. I do not recommend doing that. Conclusion: I believe everyone should drink more water and eat eggs. It makes you healthier, less likely to binge eat, which working in a bakery can be hard, especially if you don't eat breakfast. I feel less tired. I'm not relying on caffeine. I lost weight, and the prep wasn't hard at all. It also came in handy that I had mason jars at my house already. But you can simply find them in any thrift store. So anybody can do this. Here are my references. Thank you for listening.